Embellishments are the added decorative elements that make a design stand out. There are a few different types of embellishments, including foiling, embossing or debossing, and spot UV, and each one requires its own unique method and machinery. Embossing creates a raised image in the paper and works particularly well with thick uncoated paper. It typically appears without added ink or foil and is known as blind embossing, but ink can also be added. Debossing is the opposite of embossing and creates a depressed design. The embossing process involves heat, pressure, and plates known as dies. The dies can be either single level or multi-level. Single level creates an even change on the surface of the paper and is the cheapest and most common type, whereas multi-level creates a more complex design with a number of distinctive levels. Two metal dies are made with the desired design cut into them. One plate has a surface with a raised design, whereas the other has a recessed design. The two dies fit into each other when placed together, and the paper is placed between them. The heat and pressure is applied to squeeze the raised die into the recessed one. When released, the dies leave a permanent bump in the paper with either a raised or depressed design. Color can be added, as well as foil. Foiling is an embellishment that bonds metallic foil to paper or card to add a decorative element to the design's type or graphic. Nowadays, it's mostly done digitally and is known as digital foiling, and eliminates the use of stamping dies, which lowers the cost and increases the speed of production. The process eliminates the chemical process of making stamping dies, thus resulting in a more environmentally friendly method. And with foiling, the design sits on top of the paper rather than being slightly pressed into it. The desired foil roll is loaded onto the high-pressure foil printer. The elements not to be foiled are printed when sealed with a matte soft-touch laminate or a Selzer glaze. The elements to be foiled are then overprinted in black, fed through the paper, and the foil is added. The foil is pressed into the paper and the heat reactivates the ink, causing the foil to adhere to it. Spot UV is a type of embellishment in which a clear gloss coating is added over the paper. The method is similar to that of foiling. Firstly, the design is printed onto the paper. Secondly, the paper is coated with a matte or silk Selzer glaze. Thirdly, a liquid varnish is applied to select elements of the design. Fourthly, the varnish is cured. Using ultraviolet light, the curing solidifies the varnish and results in a distinctive glossy finish.
Hey guys, my name's Lachlan and I'll just present to you some applications that have utilised embellishments. So we already know the different types of embellishments, but here we can start to see the kind of effects that they will give. Image 1 has used both debossing and embossing, but looking closer we can see that they have created detail through debossing the illustration, leaving a more organic feel that can be reflected back to the company. Number 4 used embossing at different depths, with the illustration on recycled packaging to create emphasis. Number 3 has used embossing to create interest in the features whilst keeping it minimalist. Here, looking at the spot varnishing, we can see that it instantly gives that sleek, new car look that companies that want a professional personality will want. It can add to a minimalist look like the clear varnish in image 1, or even help emphasize words like in image 2. Lastly, we will look at how a foil stamping can add a touch of elegance through the metallic effect, like on the bottles of alcohol of the playing cards.
I will be talking about the pre-press file requirements, proofing, and considerations for embellishments. This is what is required for the press-ready file with embellishments. This includes foiling, UV spot varnish, and embossing. Embellishment print-ready file should be supplied as separations. The separations file reflects the area which will have the special print treatment. You need to create a new swatch and name the swatch the type of embellishment it is. Make sure the effects are clearly indicated. You can also add Do Not Print to emphasize this to the printer. The separations plate will tell the printer that this plate is for the embellishment, so it won't print. Make sure the color type is a spot color and not a process color, so it shows as a single separations plate and not CMYK. In order to not lose ink underneath the design on the separations plate when it's turned off, make sure overprint fill is on. With embossing, you need to take into consideration that there will be a reverse impression of the emboss that will show on the back of the design. The finest detail possible for embossing is 1 point. The embossed areas must be at least 0.25 inches away from the trim lines on all sides. Considerations for foiling include never foil stamp over coatings and varnishes, as it will trap gases and blister, and make sure the printer uses wax-free inks.